There's a rhythm to American car history. Roaring engines, gravel spitting beneath spinning tires, the quiet rumble of a V8 at a stoplight, and then sometimes silence. Not every masterpiece gets remembered. Today, we dive into a hidden chapter of Ford's legendary truck legacy, one that speaks not just of horsepower and hauling, but of bold design, cultural shifts, and brilliant machines that arrived and then disappeared. Ford didn't just build trucks to work, it built icons. But these were something more. Experimental. Visionary. A little too bold, perhaps, for the times they were born into. They weren't meant to just haul loads, they were built to change how we think about trucks entirely. But then, they were gone. These are Ford's forgotten super pickups, built to lead, erased from memory. Let's bring them back. Number 3, 1965. Ford F-250 Camper Special, the unsung king of the road. Fast forward to the mid-1960s. America was mobile. Truly mobile. For the first time, the interstate highway system was opening up the country like never before. Families weren't just driving to work or the grocery store. They were crossing states on long, winding road trips. Campgrounds were full. National parks were booming. Ford, as always, watched and responded. They didn't just build another truck. They built a traveling companion, one that understood the needs of the growing camper culture. This was the 1965 Ford F-250 Camper Special, a rugged, refined workhorse built not just to tow, but to journey. Let's talk engineering. Ford reinforced the chassis with a stiffer frame, perfect for handling the weight of slide-in campers, an increasingly popular trend among outdoor-loving families. The rear suspension was beefed up with heavy-duty springs to support that extra load, and here's where it got smart. It included factory wiring for camper lights. Today, that's expected. In 1965, practically revolutionary, most trucks had to be modified by the owner or a third-party mechanic. Ford just made it ready to roll. Powering this rig was a lineup of engines that meant business. The reliable inline-six was available, but for those hauling serious weight, you could get the legendary 352 cubic inch V8 from the FE engine family. It had torque to spare, especially for long climbs through mountainous terrain or towing through desert highways. But it wasn't just about guts. The twin I-beam front suspension, introduced that very year, gave it unmatched ride comfort for a truck of its size. Smooth, controlled, and surprisingly responsive, even when loaded to the gills. The design was pure 60s Ford, clean horizontal lines, a commanding grille, and proportions that screamed strength without being overbearing. No gimmicks, no frills, just honest, functional beauty. Dual fuel tanks were an option, extending your journey between fill-ups. Larger mirrors gave better visibility. Every detail screamed, this is a truck made for going places, and it did. Across deserts, through forests, over mountains. The Camper Special was the backbone of countless American adventures. Not flashy, not luxurious, but unforgettable to those who knew what it was, and yet, it faded. Overshadowed by flashier 4x4s and glossier SUVs, the Camper Special became a relic, an artifact of a slower, more deliberate kind of travel, a machine made for maps, campfires, and stories told under starlight. But oh, what a machine it was. Number 2, 1957, Ford Ranchero, the truck that redefined the rules. America, 1957. The jukebox was king, suburbia was booming, gasoline was cheap, and chrome was the new gold. This was an era obsessed with style, but also practicality. A new generation was looking for something fresh, something bold, something that worked for their changing lives. Ford delivered, but not in the way anyone expected. The 1957 Ford Ranchero was unlike anything on the road. Imagine taking the long, elegant lines of a Fairlane coupe, tail fins and all, and slicing a truck bed into its rear. It was elegant up front, business in the back, a kind of automotive mullet, years before the hairstyle, built on a full-size car platform but designed to work like a light-duty pickup. The Ranchero was neither fish nor fowl. It confused traditionalists and intrigued innovators. It was marketed as more than a car, more than a truck, and Ford meant it. But the public? Well, they weren't quite sure what to do with it. Some critics sneered, calling it a Frankenstein's monster stitched together from mismatched parts. Others saw genius. For urban tradesmen, farmers with style, or city dwellers who needed utility without sacrificing looks, the Ranchero was a breath of fresh air. Under the hood, it wasn't playing around. Buyers could spec it with a modest straight 6 or a beefy 292 cubic inch V8 that gave it real muscle. It could cruise effortlessly at highway speeds, but still load up with tools, hay, or hardware in the back. Truly, it was the first of its kind, the car-truck hybrid. Visually, it turned heads. Sweeping lines, bold chrome accents. And the signature 57 Fairlane grille gave it a presence no pickup had ever dared. From the front, it whispered luxury. From the side, it yelled function. Yet despite its brilliance, the Ranchero didn't take off. Not quite. It found a loyal but niche audience. Americans, it seemed, wanted their cars to be cars, and their trucks to be trucks. Chevrolet would eventually follow Ford's lead with the El Camino in 1959, and by the 1960s, the idea of a car truck had carved its niche in pop culture. But it was the Ranchero that walked into uncharted territory first. Brave, misunderstood, and way ahead of its time. Today, it's a cult classic. Then, it was just forgotten. Number 1, 1971, Ford F100 Sport Custom, the gentleman's workhorse. By the early 1970s, something was changing. Trucks weren't just farm tools anymore. They were becoming lifestyle choices. More people were buying pickups, not for the job site, but for the drive. Ford saw that cultural tide shift, and in response, they gave us the 1971 F100 Sport Custom, a truck that didn't compromise, tough enough for a trailer, stylish enough for a Friday night cruise. This wasn't a radical redesign. It was evolution. A pickup that quietly said, yeah, I can work, but I clean up well too. Visually, it had charm, chrome accents on the grille and body, optional two-tone paint jobs that gave it a splash of personality, and wood grain trim inside the cabin, a subtle nod to a more refined experience. It was still every bit a truck. Under the hood, engine options ran from the sturdy 240 cubic inch straight six to beefier V8s like the 360 and 390, the same motors found in Ford's bigger, bolder vehicles. The Sport Custom had the muscle to pull, to haul, and to get dirty. But inside, it was surprisingly civilized. Padded dashboards, better noise insulation, upgraded seat materials. It wasn't luxury, but it was comfortable. And in 1971, that was a revelation. What really made it sing, though, was the driving feel. That same twin I-beam suspension from the Camper Special made a return, keeping the ride smoother than you'd expect from a half-ton truck. Whether you were navigating job sites, campgrounds, or just back roads to nowhere, the F100 handled it all with grace. The Sport Custom didn't shout. It didn't need to. It was the truck you bought when you had a little more pride in your work, when you wanted your pickup to reflect not just what you did, but who you were. Today, it's a symbol of that transition era, the bridge between the bare-bones haulers of the 50s and 60s and the luxury trucks of today, a blend of grit and grace, and for those who remember driving one, it still holds a special place in the soul. 3 trucks, 3 moments in time, 3 bold answers to questions America hadn't quite asked yet. The 1957 Ranchero, an elegant rebel that blurred lines before anyone knew what crossover meant. The 1965 Camper Special, a rolling adventure built for families with wanderlust in their veins. The 1971 F100 Sport Custom, a symbol of changing tastes and quiet pride. Each was a pioneer, and like many pioneers, they were misunderstood, undervalued, eventually forgotten. But not here. Drop us a comment below. Let's bring these beasts back into the spotlight, where they belong. Until next time, keep your wheels turning, your heart full of octane, and never stop chasing forgotten roads.